The most powerful voice that I have heard came from within me. Ever since I was young, I would always look at things around us and question them. So I would see things that are very normal to some, like why are there trees? Why did water evaporate? I would look at all the things that were very, very minute, very minor, and exceptionally normal. But one very mind-boggling question was about our human behavior. Why are we the way we are? Why are there monks, peace seekers, and why are there noise makers, party goers? Why are we so sublimely in our human behavior? How do we define that human behavior? So I joined various NGOs, organizations, and in all my experiences, just trying to understand who are humans and why are we the way we are. And then I came across this very ambiguous term, this term called spirituality. Now I used to think to myself, what is spirituality? Why is spirituality something used so often but none of us truly know what it means? And most of the people I've met, most of the people I've conversed with, always tell me spirituality looks a bit like this. Meditation, becoming a monk, or simply just praying. And I think the biggest misconception about spirituality is that it has solely to do with prayers. While being religious and being spiritual are two very, very different things. Following your religion simply means you're following the messenger. But following spirituality is that you're following the message. And I think a lot of you can relate to this. How many of you know somebody in your life that prays every single day, that is very religious, but they are the most judgmental people you've ever met? Kindly raise your hands. Would you ever call that person spiritual in any sense? I know I wouldn't. So how can we define someone being religious as solely as being spiritual? Reaching that level of spirituality, that practice, can be done by meditation and praying, but it's not solely derived through it. There are many other ways that one can derive the practice of spirituality, the benefits, the essence of spirituality, other than just simply praying. And now that we're talking about this, your next question is just, what is spirituality then? Spirituality comes from the word spirit, something that we all have. In a layman's term, we call it the soul. So, the practice of spirituality is so simple and so embedded in each of us. Now, I'm moving my hand. It is because my muscles are communicating with my nerves, sending impulses to my brain, and hence this hand moves. But when I die, the muscles remain, the hand remains, the brain remains, but this hand no longer moves. Why? The soul is no longer there. So we can know how powerful this soul is, how much it can affect our lives, yet we disregard it so much. How many of you have done certain things in your life that you know is bad, but you had to do it? Kindly raise your hands. It can be anything in your life. Maybe cheating on a friend, talking bad about someone, lying to your parents. We all know that this is wrong. It's embedded in us, but yet we do it. So similarly, the soul, practice of spirituality, is embedded in each and every one of us, yet we disregard it. And when it comes to spirituality, the best way of how we want to learn how to practice spirituality is by going and asking someone. So we definitely ask a lot of people. You ask spiritual gurus, you ask people who are very learned, and you just ask them and say, how do I become spiritual? But it's a bit like this. Tell me the meaning of life quickly. I have a meeting in half an hour. It's simply because we want to know everything as soon as possible. We want to know it right now. We want the benefits. Nobody wants to work hard. But the practice of spirituality requires consistency, dedication, unamounted love. When we grow, when we were young, we were told that we should always do good. But as we grow up, we lose that feeling, that value of being good. Simply because we lose the essence of spirituality, kindness, goodness, happiness that we should share with one another. And it's because we are taught such things. Our family members, friends would always say, think of yourself first, then think of others. But the practice of spirituality moves forward than that. It moves greater than that. So for me, it was always about, yes, this practice of spirituality is so interesting. But how do we teach it to others? How do we practice it in the 21st century? And most of the time when I say this, a lot of my friends tell me, Archana, I don't have a soul. I say, yes, correct. You are a soul. You have a body. To know who you are is very important. From there, you can derive what you can do. So in the 21st century, there are various ways where we can practice spirituality without the need of ethics, the values, religion, and many other things. Definitely, there are many ways we can get spirituality, but how do we do so? Some people tell me that if I want to practice spirituality, does it mean I have to become a monk? Or does it mean I have to meditate every day? Oh my God, how are we going to live our university lives and continue this? But what if I told you, you can practice spirituality being who you are? A friend, a sister, a brother, a mother, a father, a human. First and foremost, you have to change the way you see things. Change the way you see every single thing in your life. Change the way you see yourself first. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? I know some people see Shah Rukh Khan. Some people see someone so good looking, and some people see the ugliest person on earth. But when you look in yourself in the mirror, what do you see? When you look at someone, what do you see? Do you see their eyes, their facial structure, their nose? Or do you see more than that? Do you see the pain in their eyes? Do you see the suffering that they've been through, the scars that they have? When you see those things, you realize that these things are very familiar to you. These things that they have been through, the experiences that they have been through, is so familiar. That you have been through the same, just in a different way. When I see someone, I see me, just in a different form, living life differently, but essentially it's just me. When you see your colleague that you hate, or that person that talks bad about you, yes, he's definitely sinning, but we're all sinners, criminals, just of different kinds. So before you start meditating or religiously praying, change the way you see things. Change the way you see your lecturer that you just can't sit in his class. Change the way you see that person that is so rude to you every single day. And when you change the way you see things, truly the things that you see change. And the next most important part is to balance. Balance focus and balance imagination. Now, I like to call it meditation and anti-meditation, and I'll tell you why. Meditation, people often think, is when you are required to sit quietly and think or focus on the absence of thought, which is completely wrong. Meditation is not always about focusing on the absence of thoughts. Meditation can be the full presence in a moment with elevated consciousness. Right now, we're in this hall. I'm standing on this stage. This very situation, this very atmosphere, these very words I'm speaking to you right now is meditation. Merely because my full focus is here right now. I am conversing with you with full energy, full consciousness, and fully in the present moment. This is my meditation. This is what I like to do. Things that you are passionate about, things that you enjoy doing, that you would wake up at any time of the day to do it. That is called meditation with your full focus. So it's very important to have meditation. It's very, very important to focus on your goals, plan them out, strategize. How am I going to do this? How am I going to achieve it? It's very important to believe in it. But it's equally important to imagine it. Equally important to visualize it. How can you know what you want to achieve if you've never seen it before? How can you know what you want to achieve if you've never felt it before? You need to visualize your goals. Visualize what kind of human you want to be. Visualize your life. Imagine. Albert Einstein always said that imagination is much more important than knowledge. And it's surprising coming from one of the smartest men on earth. He is very smart, but he keeps saying imagination is more important. So as equal as focus is, you need to imagine. You need to let your mind run wild and know what you want to achieve, which is very important. The act of spirituality does not require you to merely write down your goals and follow it. You need to know what you're writing down. You need to know your plan A, plan B, plan C, which can only come from imagination. Some people I know like to imagine the weirdest of things. I'll tell you a short story. I had a friend who was a very famous debater. Many of you know, but I will not say his name. He was a very famous debater. He's not currently right now. And I used to ask him, how do you like speak in front of public? Because I also was a debater. And he used to tell me that more than doing it, he used to imagine himself speaking in front of the crowd and being very confident. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. We all screw up. But he imagines it, he focuses on it. And that's how he has moved forward in life. So, my friends, imagination is very important. Do not forget that. But remember, balance it out. Balance your meditation and your anti-meditation. And the third and most important thing is to let your soul take control. See, the practice of spirituality is very similar like driving a car, where the soul is the driver, the wheel is the mind, and the car is the body. So the alignment has to be as such that the soul knows where to drive the car to. If the soul doesn't take control, the car will go on a default mode, it will just go everywhere, unwanted occurrences will happen, accidents will happen. Similarly, that will happen in our life. Always remember, let your soul take control. Let your soul know where to go. Because the soul makes decisions that are very powerful for the mind and very peaceful for the heart. We have to let our soul take control. In the act of spirituality, most of the time, we know that there are certain things that we should do, but we don't do it. I'll give you another example. Come on a journey with me. Now you're in your college days, you have that one best friend of yours. Okay, now imagine it's the person of the same gender. If you're a girl, it's another girl best friend. If you're a boy, it's another boy best friend. Now this best friend of yours has always been there with you throughout your entire life. You love that person so much because she or he has been there with you always. And so what has happened was that you got into a bad relationship or any sort of relationship. It doesn't have to be anything to do with love. Any sort of bad relationship, and you despise that other person. Fast forwarding 30 years of your life, you become a very successful professional. You're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever you are, very successful. And your first patient that comes is your friend. You're so happy to see her, like, oh my God, it's been so long. And you treat her, if you're a doctor, you converse with her and everything. And as you speak to her, you realize that she actually got married to that other friend, the guy who you despise to. Will you treat her the same? Would you ever be like, oh, let me be professional with you still? Deep down, that little feeling of hatred, that little feeling of jealousy or anger would come. If we let our soul take control, what's the next step? We tell her, oh, it's okay, that is your decision. We would do it. I would treat you regardless of how you are, whatever your relationship status is. But if we let our mind take control, if we let our own instinct, we'll be like, oh, you go to someone else, you don't come here. Because of our hatred. The voice of spirituality is very important. It is within us. It is screaming and crying for your attention. It's disregarded in the 21st century, but it's the most important voice you have to hear too. So my question to you is, will you hear the voice of spirituality? Will you hear the voice of yourself from within? And now that you have learned the art of selfie, it's time to master the self. Thank you.